Good morning, everybody, and thanks for joining us today. Welcome to the Group 6 Metals Investor Conference call. All attendees are now in listen-only mode. On the call today, we've got Group 6 Metals CEO Keith McKnight. I'll pass you across in a moment to Keith to kick off our discussion of the company's latest progress. We'll have a presentation from Keith today, followed by an opportunity for Q&A. And thank you very much to all investors who've sent questions for us ahead of time. If you would like to ask a question during the call, please type it into the Q&A panel within the Zoom app and we'll address things that way. So to kick things off, I'll hand over now to Group 6 Metals CEO Keith McKnight. Go ahead, Keith.
Good morning, Tim. How are you?
Excellent, thanks.
That's good. Good morning, everyone, and thanks again for the opportunity to present an operations update for Dolphin. As many will be aware, it's been a very busy period for the company, and I'm very happy to give an update on our activities. So just as a reminder, we're basing the project development on 6 key development priorities, if you like. So the first one is we're under construction, which we're going to talk about today, and we're targeting first concentrate production in Q1 2023. So again, look, we're the highest grade tungsten deposit in the Western world, at 0.9% resource, 0.74% reserve. So it's going to stand us in good stead, as we navigate the current kind of inflationary pressures that all mines and mine developments are experiencing. We've got a 14-year mine life, which is underwritten by reserves, and we've got significant exploration upside, which I can talk to a little bit more later on. We've got a proven process flow sheet. This mine has been in operation since 1917 and has processed many tons of concentrate at that time. So it's a proven and optimized flow sheet. Tungsten has been ranked internationally as a critical mineral, which I think is important in the current geopolitical landscape. It's ranked highest for economic importance, and it is really critical to a prosperous economy. And the company also has secured offtake agreements for up to 65% of its production for the first 4 years. These are take-or-pay arrangements and will underwrite the revenue for the first 4 years.
Sorry to interrupt, Keith. Just letting you know, your presentation's not up on the screen yet. If you want to share your screen.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
That might be best. Thanks, Keith.
Okay. Is that up now?
Yep, much better.
Okay, thanks. Look, I won't go through those key priority principles again, but you can see on the screen there that that they really do underpin a robust project. So our key milestones to date, having secured a Tasmanian state government loan of 10 million in H1 of 2021, the company then proceeded to go and raise a total project funding of 84 million, plus the 4 million in cash in October 2021, when it had made its investment decision for a total of $88 million to fund the project. It executed its EPC contract with Gecko in November 2021, and we had our official commencement ceremony in February. So the key milestones, construction milestones, moving on from here is we started construction on our process plant, which is on a critical path. We're aiming to commence mining in November to produce first ore to the concentrate plant for commissioning in January. We expect it'll take 2 to 3 months to commission the plant. We'll produce first concentrate, and then we'll have a period of ramp up of 2 to 3 months following that first concentrate production. So just to recap on the location and existing infrastructure, the project is located on the northwest coast of Tasmania in the Bass Strait on King Island. It's located near the town of Grassy, so you can see there from the bottom image. We've got the existing open cut here. We've got the port of Grassy, which we're going to develop where we're going to export our concentrate. And you'll see up here in the top right-hand corner is the rehabilitated, revegetated old tailing storage facility. And in order to minimize impact to the local vegetation on King Island, we're going to locate the new tailing storage facility on the same footprint. So, that kind of aligns with our ESG principles of trying to minimize impact to local vegetation. The company owns the portside links, which is, as you can see my cursor there, kind of connects the open cut to the grassy port. So it gives us direct private access to the port. So, the port can accommodate 5,000-ton vessels in a service weekly from Tasmania and also from Burnie. We're forecasting to export 4 to 5 20-ton sea containers of concentrate per week. So it's not a large volume export commodity, it's high value, low volume. So all the existing infrastructure that we need to get our concentrate to market is in place. So Tim, are you okay to play this, or would you like me to play it?
Best if you just play it from the embedded PowerPoint there, Keith, and we'll you can talk us through it.
So this is drone footage that's been shot just this weekend. I apologize if the quality is a little bit jumpy, but look, we're still keen to show everybody this. So we've just panned out of the mine and onto the mine haul road, which will be used to take the 4,000 tons of ore per annum. And as we pan to the right there, we can see that the haul road has been resheeted and realigned, and we've also made the road suitable for 777 trucks. So as we slowly move north, we're just passing the process plant on the left-hand side, and we're going to be able to see some of the works there when we come back down in a couple of seconds. At the top of the view there, we can see where Gecko are doing their pre-assembly for the mechanical equipment installation. So most of the equipment goes there and gets pre-assembled and then gets brought down to the site for installation. As we pan around to the east, we can see some of our haul trucks there that we're using to recover material for the roads. You can also see the connection in the King Island grid. So we're just passing over the concrete works. On the right-hand side there, we have our large wide span shed where our concentrate dressing was going to occur. And then on the northern end of the process plant, we've got our goal line, workshop and site offices. The material will be dried, bagged and containerized, and then will be sent down this haul road here as we pan east out to the port of Grassy. So I think that kind of captures really succinctly there, our pit, process plant and export infrastructure really in the space of 2 minutes in drone footage. So our pit to port strategy is fairly robust and secure. So just to give you an update on construction and our construction activities. So just there's a clip there from the drone footage. Site establishment's complete and heavy equipment's been mobilized. We've had some delays to our 777 truck fleet that we were hoping to get in July, but now have been put back. But we've mitigated that by hiring some trucks from a local contractor in Tasmania. So our heavy equipment's still ongoing, but we will have all our equipment by the end of the year. The bulk earthworks for the process plant are more or less complete, and we're working through our major civil works with the completion of the crushing circuit, which is located here. And we're currently over here, over near the dressing circuit, which will be under a wide span shed. The main advantage that we've gained, I suppose, was from ordering our long lead procurement or OEM equipment items mid last year, was that we've managed to largely mitigate any serious delays. We've got a large proportion of our equipment, our overseas equipment is either on site or in Ballarat at Gecko's facility undergoing factory acceptance testing. So we've largely mitigated the supply chain issues. As I mentioned earlier during the drone footage, we're now connected to the King Island electrical grid, and we're supplying power for the site during construction. Site clearing is commenced for the construction of the tailings storage facility, so we will be recovering material from the site to construct the TSF walls. That activity is expected to take 3 or 4 months, so we'll be ready in time for when we start processing and pumping tails. So as it currently stands, while we have experienced some delays in certain areas, the team on site has worked very hard to mitigate those delays, and we may require acceleration of certain activities in the next 6 months, but we're currently on track for first concentrate in March 2023. So just to take you through some of the photographs that you couldn't really capture on the drone footage. So on the top left, we've got recovery of material for road base. As we move right along the top, then we've got an installation of our electrical conduits for our power delivery to major equipment into the workshop and the site office. And on the top right-hand corner, we've got our first graduates of our on-site training program. The company is prioritizing local employment on the island, and we're providing training to upskill some of those local residents, and it's been very successful and it's working well. And then on the bottom 3 pictures, just some of the major equipment that's been arriving on the site. So we've got the spirals on the left, we've got a screen in the middle there, and we've got the secondary crusher on the right-hand side. So as I said, we're hoping to start mining in December this year, November. It'll be owner-operator with our own fleet, and we're proposing to recover 4,000 tons of ore per annum, yielding around 220,000 MTU of WO3 for the first 8 years. And then following that, we'll go underground for a further 6. One of the main benefits of this mine and actually has led to construction of some of the infrastructure around the port is that the overburden rock is pH neutral, non-acid forming, which means that the rock can be emplaced in the grassy bay and used to reclaim some land ahead of the open cut shell. So and also that rock historically has been used to build the seawall there. So it is a very big advantage for the project. Once we commence mining in November, we'll be on economic ore day 1, so we don't have to expend big sums of capital removing overburden. We'll be able to recover ore for commissioning almost immediately. So we've got a proven and optimized process flow sheet. The one area, we're aiming to recover about 78% of the ore mine, of the scheelite mine. So I think that's a pretty high recovery. We've spent a lot of money in the lab testing the various areas of the process flow sheet, and we've got a high degree of confidence of 78% and above. We've got a proven EPC contractor delivering the project. We're on time. The long lead items haven't already been procured. It's going to help us to keep our schedule. And I think, the one area where we have upgraded the process flow sheet is by the introduction of the multi-gravity separators. And basically what these separators do is they remove the calcite from the fine ore concentrate, which improves the performance of the flotation circuit directly downstream. So we'll have less material going in there, and it's and lower cost. So while we've got 14 years of reserves to underwrite the first 14 years, we've got a significant area of relatively underexplored tenement around the Dolphin mine. This exploration lease in blue is about 66.5 square kilometers. We do have a resource in Bold Head, which is located, approximately around here. And in 2018, we also did some drilling in the Investigator prospect, which is located about 6 kilometers to the west of Dolphin. Our plan is to go back and do a 4 to 6 hole drill program at Investigator later in the year when the weather permits. It's a little bit wet and soggy there at the moment, but once the paddocks dry out, we'll go back there and we'll do a 4 to 6 hole program. Historically back in 2018, we had some high grade intersects, so we're pretty optimistic about going back there and drilling. So just for tungsten, the main uses of tungsten is for cutting, rock cutting, metal cutting. The main consumers of tungsten are transport industry, automotive, mass transport, and aviation. And then we've got a similar proportion of tungsten being consumed in mining and construction, around 26%. And then, energy and defense, at 6 and 8% as well. So there's also some exciting future uses. For those of you who are following our social media posts, we posted an interesting article where a subsidiary of Masan, HC Stark, are making a significant investment, I think around 45 million, in a battery technology company, which is proposing to produce lithium-ion batteries with tungsten. And what they have found in testing so far is that with the addition of tungsten, it significantly improves the speed at which the battery charges, and also the life of the battery as well. So, and tungsten's also been used in the manufacture of semiconductors due to its low resistance. So there's some exciting uses. In 2021, we've seen an increase in demand, from 96,000 tons of tungsten up to 100,000 tons, and we expect it to increase again in 2022. So the tungsten price has been kind of at 8-year highs thereabouts for the last 3 or 4 months. So it's currently trading at about 340 to 350. Our concentrate will be referenced against the APT price, which is the ammonia paratungstate price. We are paid in our offtake agreements. We are paid a payability factor of around 78-79% against the APT price, which is making the current price making the project very profitable. We expect demand to continue to be strong in 22-23 on the back of growth forecast in India of 8.8% and in China of 4.4%, and of course China wanting and needing to stimulate their economy following the COVID-19 lockdowns of the past 18 months. Tungsten consumption, as I mentioned previously, has increased 7% in 2021, and it's forecast to increase by a further 10% in 2022. And this is going to be driven primarily in mining and construction, where big infrastructure projects requiring tunneling are big consumers of consumption, and in mining, rock cutting and underground mining and the likes. We're also seeing a lot of countries around Europe and the world announcing increase to their defense budgets, which we're expecting to see a 19% increase in tungsten consumption from the defense. And then obviously with the current concerns around energy and energy self-sufficiency, we're seeing an increase in demand from oil and gas exploration also. So I think the outlook for price and demand is very positive. So that brings me to the end of the presentation. I'll hand it back to you, Tim, if there's any questions.
Yep, sounds great, Keith. Thanks very much for your presentation. Keith did mention later in the piece there some of the interesting media coverage which Group 6 Metals is posting to its social media pages. We do encourage everyone to have a look at the Twitter and the LinkedIn presence for Group 6 Metals, and that's where you'll find a nice high definition version of the drone flyover footage that Keith showed early in the piece today as well. So let's hop into the questions that have come ahead of time and also on the call today. So we'll hop straight in, Keith. So the first one is, the Group 6 Metals is expecting to have the majority of its OEM equipment and materials delivered by late July. Can you tell us what's left to arrive in this regard and how Group 6 has managed any supply chain issues?
Sure, yeah, I think I touched on this in the presentation, Tim, that the decision by the Group 6 board in the middle of last year to commit, I think, $8 million to deposits on major OEM equipment is now paying dividends, in the sense that that equipment prices have been locked in and the delivery dates locked in. We did experience some minor delays for equipment coming out of Shanghai. And when I say minor, probably added about 2 or 3 weeks to the expected ETA in Australia. And we managed to mitigate that using some transshipping out of the port in Shanghai. So look, we've got about 70% of our overseas equipment either delivered to site or at the Gecko facility in Ballarat. And look, the remaining equipment's either in transit or about to be shipped. So we don't expect any major delays for overseas equipment. So look, I think we're in good shape with regard to managing any supply chain risk to impact to our schedule.
Very good. Thanks, Keith. The next question is, Gecko's role at Dolphin as your contractor has been increasing recently following the handover of the crusher circuit civil works. Can you tell us how that relationship has progressed through construction and also what's ahead for Gecko?
Yeah, sure. I mean, Group 6, or King Island as it was previously known, has had a long relationship with Gecko over the last few years. Gecko have been involved in the development of the process flow sheet and helped us with a lot of our budgeting and estimating exercises. So it's really positive to have Gecko involved in the project. It's good to see them on site now and have our major equipment being delivered to site. And as we updated the market there 2 weeks ago, they've started the mechanical installation. So I expect to see some big changes on the process plant area over the next 2 to 3 months. So they'll work through that over probably until the end of the year and do a lot of the site acceptance testing running into Christmas, early January. And that will put us in a good position to start the functional commissioning testing in January. And then, as I said, towards the end of February, we hope to start running some ore through the process plant and producing concentrate.
Very good. Thanks, Keith. G6M's reported that the availability of labour has caused challenges during construction. Can you tell us what the company's done to overcome those challenges?
Yeah, look, I think we've been pretty fortunate. We've kind of got the majority of our owners team engaged now. We've got about 26 to 28 people on site working directly for G6M, and many of those people will transition to the operating team as well. So look, I think we're pretty fortunate that we've locked in a lot of our key people as we transition from commissioning through to ramp up. Look, we've kind of leaned on relationships. We've advertised King Island, a lot of the lifestyle advantages that King Island offer, for people that may be tired of the FIFO experience. So okay, I think we've been fortunate in that area. We are experiencing some labor shortages for construction in trades, mainly, and that has affected our scheduling around the installation of our SPQ, which we hope to have operational by now, but is kind of been pushed back a little bit. We've mitigated that by taking up some more accommodation available on the island during the winter period. So, that helps the island and it helps us get through a bit of a sticky patch, with labor. We have experienced some minor delays around the civil works as well, but, we've got a plan in place to accelerate that. And now that we've given access to Gecko on the crushing circuit, we think we can keep ahead of them and accelerate the civil work. So it is challenging. Wages are up and people are hard to find, but, we've leveraged on our network and we've managed to do it well so far.
Excellent. Thanks, Keith. COVID-19 is currently causing not just Group 6 metals, but King Island itself in general some challenges. Can you tell us about the current status of the impact of COVID and what's being done to contain the virus?
Yeah, look, we've always been very conscious about COVID-19, I suppose, because, King Island being an island, we felt there was a responsibility to implement strict management procedures around, people coming to the island. They test beforehand. When they arrive at the office to report, they test, and they're required to wait for the result of that test. So we're doing testing at either end of the journey for people coming in. So look, we've got some strict management procedures around that, and we're going to continue to implement them. Look, we did have a number of cases amongst the Group 6 metals team over the last few weeks. I think we had about 6 or 7 cases. We do believe it was picked up in the community, and look, we managed to kind of jump on that and make sure that it didn't spread. So the site is currently COVID-free, and so it's kind of given us confidence that our systems do work. But look, we're going to continue to monitor the situation and remain vigilant.
Very good. So looking beyond King Island, how are European producers of tungsten coping with high input costs, especially the gas prices?
Yeah, well, that's a very interesting one. It's nearly setting up as a perfect tsunami for King Island, because we're seeing, we're forecasting a lot of growth in demand, but we're also seeing that there may be a supply constraint in 2023. There's a number of producers in Europe that have either delayed or deferred operations or construction of new projects that were slated to bring supply online. There's the Hermiton project near Plymouth in the UK. They were doing some redevelopment works, and they announced earlier this year that they were going to suspend those works due to escalating costs. And then there's the La Perilla project in Spain, which has recently announced that it's suspending production due to high energy costs. So, we think, this is all setting up really well for a material deficit in 2023. So, I think we're going to hit the market at a very opportune time.
Sounds good. So outside of any recent labour or supply chain concerns, which you touched on just before, can you tell us if inflation or increasing costs outside have impacted the construction phase in any way? And do you expect that those increasing costs may have an impact as the company moves into production next year?
Yeah, so like dealing with the construction first and foremost, like we're not immune to escalating costs. As I've mentioned, we have the advantage that we locked a lot of our major OEM equipment pricing in middle of last year before significant inflation kicked in. And we are experiencing some inflation on materials and cement, aggregates, and obviously the diesel price for fuel. But look, today we're kind of we're doing our best to manage those within contingency allowances. So look, we're not immune to it. I think it's a challenging environment to be developing a project, but I think we're doing well on the construction side. From an OpEx perspective, it's hard to tell or know if the current, cost pressures are going to be long lasting or not. We are a mine, we will use diesel, we will use explosives. And look, we do need to consume energy, obviously, to run the process plant. So look, we are finalizing some of our service contracts around those key cost inputs at the moment. And, we're evaluating our budget, but, it's also important to note that, while the costs have gone up, the tungsten price has also risen significantly. So I do believe that the company can maintain good profitability.
Very good. So can you tell us what the non-China competitive landscape is currently looking like?
Sorry, what was that one, Tim?
So excluding China, can you give us a sense for how the competitive landscape for the tungsten market is now looking?
Yeah, look, I think I touched on that there in the previous question. As I mentioned, we are seeing supply come out of the market. I mean, another project that I didn't mention there was Shandong project, which is quite a large project in South Korea, and it's currently owned by Almonty. And they were slated to come into production around the same time as us, but they have deferred their activities as well, and it looks like it will be the second half of 2023 or early 2024. So, look, as I said, from a competitor point of view, because Dolphin is one of the highest grade deposits, when compared against its peers, we are in a very good position to ride out these, what I hope are temporary cost inflation pressures. But regardless, we'll be in the market, longer than those guys.
Cool, thanks, Keith. Just looking to the company's focus on environmental, social and governance factors. So G6M strengthened its ESG commitment earlier this year. How has the company progressed against this strategy to the point of construction?
Yeah, look, ESG is very important to the company. We feel it's important to do the Dolphin project justice, and restart the project in the least impactful way that we can to the local flora and fauna. We're not going to be develop the project without doing some clearing, but to counteract that, we've committed 38 hectares of land to conservation. So that land will be locked away and will be untouched, to ensure that there's sufficient habitat for the local fauna and flora. So I think that's a very good initiative that the company's done. But we're also heavily invested in the community. We're prioritizing local employment. We're supporting, local initiatives in Grassy to get back up on their feet after what was a difficult period during COVID. The Grassy Community Club is back up and running again, and is, we're getting big crowds in there on a Friday night where we try to put on subsidized meals for the local senior citizens, and we're supporting the local pool club and the local footy club, and so there's a heavy investment in the community also. So if we think the project, we're spending close on 84 to 88 million on the project down there, and we're prioritizing that spend towards local, Tasmanian suppliers, Tasmanian contractors where possible. So I think the project's going to be a really good outcome for the local community and the state of Tasmania over the medium to long term.
Very good. Sounds like fun times at the Grassy Club.
Yes, it is. Yeah, it's good to see life back in the club.
For sure.
Yeah.
So now I think you touched on this briefly as part of the PowerPoint, but can you give us more detail on how the tungsten market performed, the tungsten price performed during the first half of this calendar year, and give us a sense for your outlook for the commodity over the remainder of the year?
Yeah, look, following, I suppose, the economic slowdown in 2020, if you look at the tungsten price in the chart, you would have seen kind of the demand for tungsten decrease and the price followed suit. But as the world economy has steadily come out of the COVID lockdowns, the tungsten price has been on an upward trend, since the second half of last year and right into up to now. It hit an 8-year high of $355 dollars per MTU of APT there in kind of May. And it has come off slightly, and it's come off slightly due to kind of a surplus of concentrate in China, and that was due to APT producers not buying concentrate because they were locked down under COVID restrictions. But now that the restrictions are lifted, we expect to see that Chinese concentrate come back out of the market and be consumed in China. And so, as I said, we kind of forecasting a material deficit, and I think that's going to be good for pricing.
Very good. Would you consider implementing an additional processing step with a view to boosting the company's received price, or is this the sort of thing that you'd only consider after you see the initial concentrate recoveries next year after the project is commissioned?
Yeah, look, it's something that the company has definitely looked at, and historically, the Dolphin project has has done downstream processing of the concentrate, and it has produced synthetic scheelite, which is calcium tungstate. So that opportunity is there, and it has been proven. So it is something we definitely like to look at, because it will improve recoveries, and it will allow us to produce a higher grade product, which would probably open up more markets for us as well. So look, it's definitely something that's on our radar, but I think at the moment we're best focused on kind of our bread and butter at the moment. We've got an exciting 12 months ahead of us, and probably that's where our focus is going to be.
Very good. Thanks, Keith. And so towards the end of your preso, you heard us a chart showing the exploration potential. So the question that's come in is, at what point after production is stabilised does the company intend to begin placing greater focus on exploration at and beyond the existing sites in order to extend your production life?
Yeah, well, I mean, we do have a resource at Bald Head. We've got 1.9 million tonnes at 0.9%. It is a little bit deeper than the ore at Dolphin. We're currently looking at the economics to see if we can convert that to a reserve. There's another couple of months' work to be done on that one. But for the broader area, as I mentioned, we've got nearly 66.5 square kilometers of area to explore, and as I mentioned, it's relatively underexplored. So look, we will develop a program. Again, Cash is kind of focused on developing the project and getting into steady state production, but I think that's something we will look to towards the end of next year. Bearing in mind that the best time to drill and explore on King Island is through the spring and summer months. So that's probably indicatively the timing that we would look at.
Thanks, Keith. And we've had a question on the metallurgical testing that the company's done to date on the flow sheet for processing. The question is, can you tell us if the material is characteristic of the same as the material that was mined in the past, and or does the characteristics of the material change over the life of the mine?
Look, we do get variance of grade and various, how the ore is composed as we mine through. I mean, the mine plan has two key lenses. We've got a B and a C lens. So we do get, as we move through different areas of the mining sequence, we do get different grades of material and different percentages of the other components. So, I mean, largely it's similar to what was mined before. I mean, even when we go a little bit deeper in the open cut, we'll be working into the old workings. So largely the metallurgical characteristics are going to be similar to what's been encountered in the past.
Very good. Thanks, Keith. Now that's all the time we've got for questions today. So really want to thank everybody for joining us and for your continued interest in G6M. If we didn't get to your question today, management will be happy to discuss all these topics further offline. We do look forward to the opportunity to talk to our investors again. And Keith, I might pass across to you now for any closing comments.
Yeah, look, we're really excited about the next few months. We've got challenges ahead of us, but I think, we've got the team and we've got the support of our contractors to help us navigate those. So look, we just look forward to executing the plan and hopefully we can celebrate some, I'm confident we can celebrate tungsten concentrate production, around March next year.
Looking forward to it. All right. Thanks very much, Keith. Thanks for everyone else, and we'll chat to you again soon. Cheers.
Okay. Thanks, Tim. Thanks, everyone.